engage in conversations outside the chambers. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Spriggs,
Here?
Councilmember Patton,
Here.
Councilmember West,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bragg,
Here.
Mayor Dedina.
Here. And now I would like to invite Anita Ulloa, a sixth grade student at Nicholas Elementary School, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And according to her teacher, Anita shows strong character consistently in school. She's a role model for her peers and is always willing to help others. Her focus and dedication, along with her perseverance, make her an outstanding candidate for this Student's Achievement Award. Her hard work is reflected in her academic growth, and I'm confident she will continue to excel throughout her academic career. So look forward to having you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You can come up here. Come up here. Thank you very much. And Anita, you and your family don't have to stay. You're more than welcome to leave. We appreciate you coming. Okay, are there any agenda changes?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull the warrant register for a couple questions on our finances that I had.
Mr. Mayor, I had a chance to talk to Councilmember Spriggs, and it would probably be best if that item is pulled, that we move it to the end of the agenda. It might take a couple of minutes to go through a couple of questions that he had. And then I'm also aware that there is a request to suspend the agenda and allow the agenda to be moved at the discretion of the mayor, so we can take care of some other pressing things as needed.
Any comments on that?
We're talking 5.2, correct?
So we would move, I guess I need to, what item am I moving? Do we need a motion on that?
Are we
Motion.
doing both at the same time, Mr. Mayor, moving 2.2
Yeah, and we're
to the
moving
end and 5.2
5.2
to
to
the
the
beginning?
beginning, to the first, before the public hearing.
I so move.
Second.
Good, now we have.
Please vote. City Council, please
Oh, I'm
vote.
sorry, please vote, I thought. Please vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, we're gonna do council announcements, but I'd like to start with Mayor Pro Tem Bragg, because I think we have a special announcement and presentation, which is totally awesome, so please. start.
I'm sorry. We do have a proclamation. If I may have that, I will read that from here, I think, or Mayor, would you like?
No, I think you should.
Okay.
you-
Very much.
you're the-
That you don't get to do this very often. So we are really going to take our time with it and enjoy every minute in celebrating 100 years of Eleanor Yockwin's life. Whereas on January 3rd, 1917, think about that, 100 years ago, Eleanor was born to Ada Eccleston and Herbert Eccleston in Southbridge, Massachusetts, the middle of three children. June 27th, 1936, she married Howard Blackburn, and they were blessed with three children, John, Virginia, and Howard. Eleanor and Howard lived in Toland, Connecticut for 12 years before moving to Imperial Beach in 1952. Before many of us were even born, they were living here. Howard passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 44, and Eleanor remarried 3 years later to Andrew Yockwin. August 12, 1941, they were married. She is blessed with 6 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren. Eleanor enjoys puzzles, going to church on Sundays, and attending the Imperial Beach Senior Center, where she is an inspiration to everyone there. She celebrated this 100th birthday January 3rd, 2017. And whereas the city of Imperial Beach is inspired by long life and offer her sincere best wishes for continued good health, happiness, and overflowing abundance of love and joy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Pro Tem, along with my council colleagues, together with our council, do hereby proclaim March 15th, 2017, Eleanor Yaquin Day. Eleanor, if you would, I'll come down there to you, and we've already taken some pictures, but I certainly do want you to have a picture of you with your flowers and our proclamation for you.
And yeah, I just wanted, I grew up with Eleanor's grandson, Mark. We were friends, I think, since elementary school. So it's a great family, and really happy that she's here.
Eleanor, would you like to say a few words? Just a few. You can step over here. We have a microphone for you. Of course, when you turn a 100, everybody says, well, what's your secret to the fountain of youth? But so if you'd like to share that with us, okay. If you want to, let me see how I can do this best for you. We are on a short cord. Does she look 100? No. No.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, the only reason I can say that I live to be 100 is because I do not smoke. And I think it's bad for people. I also think it helps not to have wrinkles. So I want to thank the Imperial Beach community for giving me a chance to say thank you to all of you. And I wanted to thank the counselors for all they do for us. And I think Imperial Beach has improved. It's a great city now. And I thank you for the flowers and the sweater. And I knew I wouldn't remember to say anything. I'm very nervous.
Again, Eleanor, happy birthday, and thank you for being an inspiration to not only our seniors, but our entire community. Thank you.
Are you guys ready? One. More. There, right there. Stay right there. One, two, three.
Thank you all, Annie, for being here and bringing
This is like sitting right there.
Eleanor, I'll see you around the senior center.
Let's check this. It's yours. This one's-
Council reports, Mr. Briggs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have a couple items to report on. First, on March 2nd, I attended the Metro JPA, which are the Metro Wastewater Joint Powers Authority, and we are at a very critical point right now because the Pure Water Program of San Diego, which is going to be benefit all of the San Diego County, but there's also going to be a cost to all of the ratepayers in the participating agencies, including church fees, for the cost of recycling water up to the point of being potable. And so this is the big plan for the Pure Water Program. And the question between the Metro JPA and the city of San Diego is whether or not we're going to have to pay twice. And we need the participating agencies. The JPA wants some time before the water board acts on the permit to allow or to consider whether the Point Loma water treatment plant, which is the big water treatment plant that serves the whole county, to determine whether that treatment plant can still operate at its current configuration of advanced primary treatment. So this is all gobbledygook, but if they have to go to secondary treatment, which will be the first time in many, many years that will be the first time ever that that requirement would be imposed, which is the national standard, secondary treatment for discharge. That will add a couple $2 billion, maybe more, to the cost of the overall effort. And we would like that issue to be decided first before we get involved in investing in a lot of infrastructure for the Pure Water program, so that we know we can advise our ratepayers what to expect. So that tug of war is going on right now between the Metro JPA and the city of San Diego, and I really oversimplified it, but I wanted to let you know that that's what's going on. And I plan at the next meeting to vote along with other JPA commissioners to take a strong position that we need to know what's going on with Point Loma, even if it means delaying the permit process by a month or two, so that we don't end up facing a double whammy. So just wanted to let you all know that's what I plan standing with fellow commissioners. Last Thursday, March 9th, I was co-chairing the International Boundary and Water Commission meeting, where there was a regular agenda, but was pretty much superseded by the public concerns regarding the big spill, wastewater spill in Mexico. The commissioners for the IBWC announced that they were going to start an investigation that due in 30 days. I led a discussion towards the end of that meeting about what the Citizens Forum, who convened the meeting, would do, and we agreed that we would send a letter to the commissioners, which subsequently I drafted and the other members of the board approved, insisting that this investigation have very specific findings in terms of what went wrong and why it went wrong, and very specific recommendations as to what's to be done to prevent future spills, so that we can all understand what's going on and support efforts to improve the situation. Now, I just received a reply from that to that letter from the U.S. Commissioner. There are two, the U.S. and the Mexican Commissioner. The U.S. Commissioner, Edward Justina, said that he agreed and that the report would be very specific regarding the findings and the recommendations. This is important because usually by national effort, like an investigation or a report or any kind of binational document, get watered down in diplomatic language, and you really can't even figure out what's being said most of the time, when everybody sort of reduces any harsh kinds of findings to mush, essentially. So we're hoping that this report, which ought to be due out in another 2.5 weeks or so, will be very specific. I've also asked the Citizens Forum Board to meet in a sort of retreat setting. We're going to do that tomorrow because we have to play a stronger role in voicing public's concerns to the IBWC Commission. And so tomorrow morning we'll be meeting to discuss what that role should be and what further position to take. So that's my report.
Thank you. Excellent. I'm really glad you're doing it. Thank you very much. That's great. We can talk more about that.
Yeah, thank you. I had the opportunity to go to the third annual, or not annual, the third South Bay School District District Champions, along with Councilmember Bragg. And this is where and we have 2 board members in our audience, Cheryl and Chris Brown. Let's give them a hand. Thanks for being here. Oh, and one more. Thank you. I'm sorry, you're hiding, Melody. And they obviously support us as well. Where they support and pick teachers that are really going above and beyond at the various schools, staff members, support staff, it could be a custodian, it could be a bus driver, community leaders. There are some volunteers that are staying at the school 7, 8, 9 hours a day on an everyday basis, and as well as looking at community leaders, like they chose Susan Skillman, right, from North Island Federal, who got it together to donate a lot of bikes to the kids at the South Bay District for perfect attendance. So that was great to go to. I went to the South County EDC, nothing there to report. School Site Council at Mar Vista High School, and they have some good plans coming along with their site that as soon as that information becomes a little more public, I'd love to share it with you. And I got an email. Is June Engel in the audience? I don't want to steal her thunder, but great news. This building across the street here that looks like a big wave, and there's a lot of books inside of there and costs millions and millions of dollars, is going to have a grand opening, our library. And that's going to be on Saturday, April 29th at 11:30. So please
Excuse
try
me,
to come.
Councilmember, they are rechecking that date. There may be a change in that date. So
And
as soon as
my
we know,
email
we'll
from
share.
her said time certain. So,
Just got a call this afternoon.
so I'll get back to you on that. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. So during this, it's been a really busy month. March 6th, kind of obviously the spill has been taking a lot of our time. On March 6th, I was able to tour Congressman Peters. Jackie, is this close enough? Okay, good. Toured Congressman Peters, and I saw former Congressman Bilberry there as well down in the River Valley, along with our Coronado Councilmember Benzian, and we spent some time and discussed the problems that are happening in our River Valley. And he was a very big, he's an environmental attorney, and he was really a big supporter of trying to get things done, and he's taking it back to Washington. And then on March 8th, actually did the IB Charter walk and ride, where we met over on one of the streets, and I rode with a bunch of children, and I have to admit, they almost didn't let me participate because I rode up, and guess who didn't have a helmet on? I was like, oh my gosh, I am a bad example right now. So I ended up walking most of it, but it was a great time and a very successful event. They had so many children, and the children were in such a good mood. It was really heartwarming in many ways. And then on March 9th, I actually met with Assembly Member Gloria and Assembly Member Gonzalez and Assembly Speaker Rendon about the Tijuana River Valley as well. Assembly Member Speaker Rendon was taking as much as he can. Obviously, this is a federal issue, but he was very much in favor of working through federal channels to make sure that he's making people know that he knows and that he is very interested in as well. And then periodically throughout the month, I'm very proud to be that the ladies with our South Bay Clean Water movement were allowed me to come and participate and help write letters at a couple of their events. We did 4 events this time between the last council meeting and now, and every one of them was great. We actually did one in Coronado as well at Emerald City Surf Shop, and it was a great event. So I'm very proud to be, and they're amazing ladies. And then March 13th, I actually met with some concerned citizens in our north part of the community about the Bayshore Bikeway. We discussed some concerns, and we actually were able to come to some resolutions that I think I was able to speak with our city manager, Andy Hall, about. So we're moving forward with some things, and I'll be taking that back on the March 30th is actual the Bayshore Sandag Bayshore Bikeway, and they're going to address a lot of the safety concerns that our north side of the members have as well. And then coming up is our third Clean Cities Initiative, which will be held at 13th in Imperial Beach Boulevard behind the 7-Eleven there. So that is going to be from 10 to 2, partnered up with I Love It Clean San Diego, SDG&E, and they're going to be helping out. So that's from 10 to 2, Saturday the 30th, and I'd love to see as many people come out there and help out as well. So, March 21st too is the Elm Avenue ribbon cutting, but I think we're going to be hearing a little bit about that in a little bit. So, but yeah, so that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Great, thank
Oh,
You're
wait,
back,
one more thing. Regional Water Quality Board. So they're holding our counterparts in today. The Mexican officials were denying the amounts again, and the Regional Water Quality
you.
Board.
You want to give an update on that when we?
Yeah, sure, no
I
problem.
think that's even better. Okay, great. Councilmember Bragg, any other update?
Thank you. As our representative to MTS, I did attend the March 9th meeting where the transit optimization plan was presented. There will be upcoming changes in some of the routes, and the budget predictions were a little off. Actually, ridership is down on our system, and that is a trend nationwide. So we are watching that. Also on March 9th, as chairman of the Accessibilities Committee, this is really good news. Deputy Director Bill Allen of the Deaf Community Services Organization was at our meeting and is hoping to actually fill a vacancy on that board. That's extremely important on this board, especially with March being Development Awareness Month. And what was really critically important about this was that now at those meetings, we have a sign language interpreter. So people who have a hearing disability will be able to participate. So that committee is really moving along strongly. And what is important is that when there are projects under the purview of MTS or even Sandag, and they make their presentations at that committee, the disabled community weighs in, and what they're hoping for is the consistency in projects, so that when there are buffers and there are audibles and all of those things that go into making it a much easier ride on our system, that those issues are addressed at that committee level. So I was really pleased with that. Also on March 13th, Rick did ask me to attend a meeting for you. I did. It was a special meeting for the city selection committee for LAFCO. They are holding back 2 appointments until December.
Thank you for doing.
You're welcome. Also on March 13th, I did attend the California League of Cities meeting as well. There was a presentation by Dan Carrig. This is his 19th year being the legislative director at the California League. And he was a little dismayed to find out from me that MTS did not support one of the bills that they are supporting, but there's always a difference of opinion. March 23rd, the Chamber Network Breakfast. The guest speaker is Steve Deal. He is a Red Cross Disaster Action Team member. I think that will be an interesting meeting at this time of year. And also on March 25th, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting their Taste of IB event from 12 to 4 on Seacoast Drive. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I'll hold my comments on water quality stuff till that section of the council agenda. But good news is Little League had an amazing opening, and I really like the fact they do it on Friday evenings now. They have a movie night, and you know, I want to say that I've been really impressed with how well they have improved those fields. How great everything. It's if you haven't been down there lately, it's actually really inspiring. And you know, it's a really, really great case study of community management. I'm going to acknowledge my colleagues in the council that were here before I was, including former council member Pat Bilbray. You guys are the ones that worked that out. and you did a great job. And it's really great to see the community to be so proud of the work they do. More importantly, what I really like about the Little League board and the Little League and softball, it's a great case study in community leadership development because they're always putting new people on the board and people take a lot of responsibility for actually doing things as board members, including managing those fields. So that's a success story that I think we need to document a little bit and just kind of figure out, you know, why it's working so well and how we can continue. So I know they talk a lot with us, but again, really great. And really great to see they have a lot of developmentally disabled kids that are involved with Little League, and that's something that's a really, really positive development. I love seeing the girls on what were formerly boys teams. So Little League's just been a great tradition and institution in IB, and it continues to be so. But again, just the whole community leadership part and community management part is really exceptionally important, and that's a great model for other organizations and community groups that want to do things. I think this idea that you go from just talking about things and complaining about things to actually taking action and doing things in partnership with the city is a really powerful lesson for the community. And I know all of us are helping in our own way, different groups get there. So I think, again, I think they have a lot to offer in the community in terms of leadership development. That's it. That was good news. So now we'll go on to the consent calendar. Oh, do you have any public comment?
I don't, but I do have a comment on the
Oh, I have
consent
public
calendar.
comments.
Before.
Okay.
I do have one short comment on the consent calendar. When we get
I'm going to do
after
public comment. Okay, so I have Javier Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez, did you want to do public comment? Okay, good. Come up. And just make sure you say your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Javier Sanchez. My address or just my name?
Sure.
1032 Iris Avenue in Imperial Beach. Good evening, Mayor Denina, and council members. I would like to ask the city to please consider allowing homeowners to be permitted to convert their own garages into additional living quarters. I have a growing family with many grandchildren, and I find it harder and harder to enjoy their company in my own home. I would like to convert my garage into an extended living room so that when my family comes over, we could all fit in my home. I understand that a few years back, there was a period of time that the city allowed this to take place, which is why there are so many homes in Imperial Beach that have converted garages. I feel that it is unjust and that the city governments can detect to me what I could do in my own home. I understand that there is a permit process but I also request that the city doesn't make it the permitting process so difficult that it makes it nearly impossible for homeowners. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Mr. Sanchez, just, you know, we can't respond to you because it's not on the agenda, but Mr. Paul can follow up with you.
Absolutely. If you will make sure that
We have his.
this gentleman here at the, let me
We
make
have it
sure I've
right
got
there.
your contact. We do. Absolutely. We'll follow back with you and get a phone call into you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you.
I got the 3 most powerful women in IB on this list. So anyway, Josie Hamada. I'm sorry. Yeah. we're all
Good
in trouble.
evening, Mayor Dedina and council member. The reason I'm here today is in the spirit of small business. You're all talking about small businesses, how to support small businesses. Well, today I was honored to go to the soft opening of Cape Pasta. They changed. So it is now called the Little Red Cafe, and it's to die for. The food is excellent, and I have reminiscing of living in San Francisco and in Japan, because the cup that you drink, you're not going to ask for a second cup because it is a big red cup. But it has everything, and I just really think that when you're out and you think something is so great that you'd really need to come and let the community know and the chamber know that, you know what, that the east side of Imperial Beach is really doing stuff and that we need to support that side of Imperial Beach as well. So Annie said, you're more than welcome to come because what's happening right now, they're looking at the menu. And if there's something you really like, it's the only place in Imperial Beach you're going to get a pastrami, panini sandwich. Okay. But anyway, so you can look at the menu and if you like something that you think, please go. And then they're adjusting their menu so that they can accommodate the community. But it's a breakfast. It's a breakfast and lunch only because of the traffic and the evening kind of thing. They just think it was the best thing for families.
Thank you with that good news. And now we have our distinguished colleagues from the South Bay Union School District, Chris Brown and Melanie Ellsworth. I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Okay. This is not the first time I've been.
Did you need longer than 3 minutes?
Not much, but I hope not. Small note. My name is Melanie Ellsworth. I am living on Cerisa Court in 92154, but I am the South Bay Union School District's Board of Trustees president this year, which is why I'm here. We started out, I don't know how long ago. Thank you, Hank, by the way, for all the Elm Street improvements. However, I'd like to add a little bit to that. We have a concern about a stop sign that could be at the corner, the southwest corner of Connecticut and Elm. And for several reasons, the stop sign, I think, is an important addition. We are supposed to be improving the street, and this would slow down traffic. There's a long stretch there, and as I sit at the district office, sometimes I see people whoosh by. The corner there can sometimes be confusing to the people who are stopped there. Where are the stop signs? You have to watch. Anyway, it can be a little confusing. But lastly, it's the crosswalks where the kids are. You know, the elementary school kids are crossing at certain times of the day. The high school kids are crossing at certain times of the day. There are school buses out there that can kind of block the view. You have to, anyway, it adds to the confusion at certain times of the day. At those times, there lots of times is a parent volunteer out there, but I feel the onus shouldn't be on the parent volunteer to slow down and stop this traffic all the time. So I respectfully ask you to consider a stop sign at that corner. Thank you.
My name is Chris Brown. I live at 1361 California Street here in IB. I am the vice president of the school board, South Bay Union School District. But President Ellsworth and I walked the Elm Street project and down Connecticut, and we are really concerned. The ribbon cutting is this Tuesday. There are so many things that need to be corrected about this. It's no reflection on Hank, but with what we agreed to did not happen. First of all, the fence that was put up. There was going to be a chain link fence, but we paid the difference to have a beautiful wrought iron. If you go by there, it looks like we've had graffiti and somebody has spray painted on different parts of it. It looks awful. So I think the contractor did it because I know we didn't do it. So the contractor. But now you have a flyer there that shows the layout of it. And if you will notice, Connecticut's on the far right side on the bottom there. It shows 3 blue sections, light blue. They're not there. Mar Vista got their light blue. We didn't get it. It's an ugly color that's in there. It's nothing like blue. So that's one thing wrong. And of course, the stop sign, you know about the stop sign. We gave up property, some property of ours, in order for this fence to go up. And we were promised a stop sign there because people are pulling out and getting almost hit. Okay, next thing. The other part as we come up towards Mar Vista, you can see there's a light shade on the sidewalk and a little darker shade of beige in there. It's not beige. It's charcoal or brown, but it's ugly. It's not the color we selected. And as you come further on down, there's 2 sections there that is not even smooth concrete. It's like pea gravel with concrete. And it's black, I mean, the same color, but it's different texture. So we've got everything going on here. That's not what we're promised. Like I say, the fence, go by there. Because I even called our assistant superintendent and I said, did we have graffiti already? And they said, no. And so he walked it and it's spray painted. And so it just is not acceptable. So what I'm asking tonight is I think the ribbon cutting should be delayed until some of these discrepancies are cleared up. I mean, you're delaying other things. I don't know why this can't be delayed until this is settled. Because I know once that ribbon's cut, we're not gonna get it. So, and we put a lot of work into this. It was over like a year and a half. We had meeting after meeting with the residents, with us, and we went to every one of them. And this is not what we agreed to. So, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, Mayor, just real quick on item 2.5, I received a request from Tim O'Neill, who does not want to speak, but wants to support wholeheartedly item 2.5, and from I Heart IB. And if you know, they've raised thousands of dollars for the fireworks show. Just want to let you guys know he's very much.
Second.
Motion carried unanimously.
Great, thank you. Now we have item 5.2, and that's the resolution 2017-7783, continuing the proclamation of a state of local emergency relating to impacts from cross-border pollution in the Tijuana River. And Assistant Public Works Director Helmer will give the report. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is your monthly renewal of your emergency proclamation for the Tijuana River. This is something you'll be seeing every month. Obviously, over the last 2 weeks, your staff has been incredibly busy trying to deal with the aftermath of the spill. And I know many of you council members have been incredibly busy doing the exact same thing. But most importantly, I'm incredibly proud to see how much our community has stepped up to start demanding to have some change in the Tijuana River and writing your elected officials and contacting who needs to be contacted. I'm very proud to see the turnout that we have here today. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, so I'll just turn it back over to the public comment, and we'll open up and I'll answer questions here for you guys.
We have Bethany Case. Oh, and Carrie, you're going to come up as well? You're doing it. Okay. No problem. Oh,
Thank you, Mayor Dudina and council members. My name is Bethany Case. My address is 1311 East Lane. And there's some detail in my report, so I hope you excuse me reading from my notes. We are here to give an update on the activities of the South Bay Clean Water Movement and our ongoing activism in dealing with the Tijuana sewage issue. We're a group of concerned parents who live in Imperial Beach. What started with 7 moms has grown into hundreds of concerned citizens. There are a few of our founding members whose children will be 3rd and 4th generation IB citizens. Those of us who are transplants are just as worried about the health of our children as well as preserving our environment. After the horrendous odor that had been hanging in the air for about 2 weeks, Molly Goforth, who's not here, organized a family beach walk, and Steph Pate came along to document, and that happened on February 20th. We already knew that there was something wrong because of the smell. In addition, a big storm had just come through, so we knew there would be a lot to pick up. Those of us who had not been down to Boca Rio yet were not prepared for the color of the water and the stench in the air. After that, we formed the South Bay Clean Water Movement. This has been a completely grassroots movement fueled by social media and word of mouth. Our Facebook page, SB Clean Water Movement, has 438 followers. Our Instagram, SB Clean H2O, has 88. We also have a website for people to find resources and for those who don't use social media, and that's at sbcleanh2o.org. We have attended the city council meeting on March 1st. the IBWC meeting on March 2nd, and the No BS meeting on March 13th. We've organized 3 letter writing events where people could sit down and write letters, could use the Surfrider link to contact the representatives, and where children could color postcards that were designed by Liz Langley. The events were held on March 5th at Pier Plaza, March 11th at the Sports Park, and the 12th in Coronado, Emerald City. Molly Goforth and Carrie Jampa created a lesson plan that crosses several subject areas and includes a PDF of the postcard, along with the 4 items we're asking of our representatives. Those have been distributed to every staff member. The lesson plans have been distributed to every staff member in the South Bay Union School District through Dr. McNamara's weekly newsletter. We have received letters from the following schools and groups: Village Elementary and Sacred Heart in Coronado, Vista Square Elementary in Chula Vista, Valencia Park Elementary and Skyline, Nestor Language Academy, Imperial Beach Charter School, the Poseidon Academy and the girls softball teams at Mar Vista High, the IB Boys and Girls Club, and 2 local Girl Scout troops. All of this involvement from children is an assurance to our community that their parents are also now informed, and we expect their growing involvement. We have hand-delivered 386 letters to the offices of Representatives Juan Vargas and Scott Peters. Do you need me to stop?
No.
Okay. And Senators Kamala Harris and Dianne Feinstein. The offices of Representative Peters and Senator Feinstein have said that they will reply to any letters with an address. Their offices were thrilled with the number of letters and with the fact that more will be coming to them. Senator Feinstein has been very vocal on the Hill about this issue, which we're excited to hear. And we have several next steps, but one next step is to be communicating with our majority leaders who don't represent us, but who are local representatives. There's too much to be done for us to sit on the sidelines. So we are reaching out and asking our passionate and knowledgeable friends and neighbors to join us as we continue to work together to find a permanent solution. We have been working endlessly to form a fact-driven, proactive, and mindful group researching related subject matter and educating ourselves on this issue. We believe that we will find more answers as we explore these facts. We believe that we should not be driven by emotion or what a few people believed, but by facts, such as the more than 240 million gallons of raw sewage that has spilled. Although some contamination signs are down and areas have been reopened, we will continue to raise awareness and to encourage our government to hold appropriate agencies accountable for the ongoing pollution of the area on both sides of the border. Finally, to everyone who has done so much already to help us, we thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Terry. Terry, did you have anything to say? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to thank the group. I don't know if any other have any comments on that.
I do. I want to say that thank you for your hard work, obviously, but also I participated today with the Regional Water Quality Board, and there was some dispute over the size of the spill. But I want you to know that our Regional Water Quality Board actually is hearing us and is holding our officials on the other side of the border accountable, and actually told them to leave, come back, and we want a explanation. So they're demanding the same stuff that we are demanding at the Regional Water Quality Board, our officials across the board. So your voices are being heard, and that's what's amazing.
I'm going to let, we have Congressman Bilbray here, so I'll let you come up and then we can ask questions for Mr. Helmer. Thank you, Mr. Bilbray, for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian Bilbray, 1307 9th Street, and I apologize for being late, but I was babysitting my 8th granddaughter, our 8th grandchild, who sadly happens to be a 3rd generation sewage baby. The fact is I grew up with it, my children grew up with it, and now we're on the 3rd generation that has to live with this curse. Now, let me just be very frank with you. This is not one instance. We're talking about in the last 2 years, Mr. Chairman, during the greatest drought that any of us remember, that the sewage problem has grown by, numbers I saw was 82 to 85% in the last 2 years during a major drought. Imagine if we got normal rains like that. So I hope one thing we get out of this report is they don't try to say, oh, this was just because of the rain. We should have been on this earlier, be blunt about it. When you have that kind of increase in a matter of 2 years. You know, it goes up and down, but that's been a steady increase. It shows the system's failing. And I just got to be very frank with you is when we have people say, just throw money at the problem, throw money at the problem, the trouble is it's not Mexico's problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's our problem. They can continue to have business and do business and do all kinds of great economic things. And this problem doesn't affect them. It affects us. Now, anywhere else in the United States, if somebody was polluting this much, there would be penalties, there would be fines, and their business activities would be restricted. I think the biggest thing that we've got to do is, first of all, please ask the governor to step in. Ask the president to step in. Don't stop how high you're willing to go. Don't settle for the commissioner. Go all the way up the top. You never know how far you can go by doing that. But I think the biggest key you got to understand is that this problem will always be our problem as long as the community around us, and I'm talking San Diego, California, United States, Mexico, Tijuana, thinks that it's more important to have healthy businesses than a healthy environment. And we would not allow an American company to do what a foreign country has been doing to us. We would not allow that at all. We would fine them, we'd penalize them. Now you may say, where do we go on this? All I'm asking is understanding. This is not a problem of not enough money and not enough infrastructure. This is a problem of no will to address the problem as a real problem. It's a nuisance to some people. These ladies, I've got children that are going to grow up in an environmental threat that I grew up. Granted, ladies, your immune system becomes pretty strong after a while. But the fact is, these children have as much right to live in a clean environment as the people in Flint, Michigan, or the people in La Jolla, or the people in Beverly Hills, or people in New York. And our kids have been living under this thing. I don't need to tell the chairman what it says. I don't need to say to people that make their living in the water. This thing has gone so far that being nice is no longer an option. So I just ask you to say one thing. Why are we continuing to care more about having people like us rather than saying we don't like what's going on? And I'll be very blunt with you. I think the people of Tijuana really gave us a sight, Mr. Chairman, and they scare the hell out of everybody. But when the people of Tijuana were upset about gas prices, they were willing to go to the border and let the world know they were upset. They were willing to look like the bad guy to do something good. The fact is it depends on how far we're willing to go. If we're not willing to complain and willing to raise hell, these kids, children, are going to be living through the same thing. I appreciate it's your problem. I have to live with it, but you guys have got elected to do the job. And thank you very much for allowing this whole IB resident to be able to point my frustration. And with your help, I just hope again that you guys understand everybody finds excuses not to get something done. You've got to be willing to raise holy hell. And again, Mr. Chairman, if the community in Imperial Beach wants to say something, tell the Chamber of Commerce in Tijuana and San Diego, tell the people that cross that border every day for business opportunities. Don't take it for granted. The greatest threat to the economic prosperity along the frontier is not somebody giving a terrible speech in Washington. It's this environmental problem, and eventually it's going to cause problems. Let them learn from what happened in Mexico last month. Thank you very much. I appreciate the privilege of speaking before you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Earl. Okay, Mr. Helmer, did you want us to ask you questions, or your questions from the council to Mr. Helmer?
I assume that's the end of our public comment, Mayor?
Yeah.
One of the
Bethany case?
Excuse me, maybe we should have made this announcement earlier. If you wanted to speak, there's some blue cards in the back of the room, and they just need to be filled out and given to the city.
In the meantime, Mr. Mayor, I think I'd like to just make a quick comment.
Sure.
And I made this from the podium at the IBWC meeting when we were all brainstorming last week, how to get to the root of this problem. And former Councilman uh, Congressman Bilbray was there, and we chatted a little bit on the side about this. And I have to say that there's nothing like a crisis to precipitate an opportunity to make some real change. It's totally what happens all the time in human endeavor. It takes a disaster, and then everybody says, "Oh, wow, let's really do something about it." And I agree with Congressman Bilbray. Much as I have my fears and concerns about engaging the federal administration in this problem, because of the rhetoric in the past about relationships with Mexico and the border wall and all of that stuff. I have to really conclude, as somebody who's spent 22 years in Washington and abroad working with USAID, doing economic development in developing countries, administering USAID dollars abroad, and finding solutions to sometimes bigger problems than this. That the solution lies in some major infrastructure and management changes south of the border. And we as a country are going to have to be in a position to negotiate those changes with the Mexican government. We might even have to provide some resources, but they will also be able to provide resources. We might have to link this with the renegotiation of NAFTA, which has already been talked about. We might have to link it to border security, which has already been talked about. To me, as a concerned elected in this city and a concerned citizen, we've got to ride whatever wave it takes to get to the bottom of this and find the major solution at the infrastructure and policy and management level that's needed. And if that takes trying to make the most out of our current national relationship with Mexico at the highest levels and adding this to the senior policy agenda, then I think that's what we need to do. And we shouldn't be afraid of that, because anything short of that is going to be picking away at something that requires a wholesale solution. So those are my comments as someone who worked with USAID. This ought to be a massive USAID project negotiated with the Mexican government, where there's technical assistance, there's training, there's a lot of labor and in-kind support provided by the host country. There may be technical assistance and dollars supported from our side. We do this all the time, billions and billions of dollars over decades and decades with countries all around the world. To me, that's really the way we need to go here. And if we need to escalate the policy discussion in order to get to that point with the government of Mexico to the other agenda items that are on both nations' high policy agenda, then so be it. But, I'll just close with one thing. It's fine to send letters. I've sent letters. We're all asking for all kinds of things. What are we really asking for? What are we really putting our might behind that can really make a sea change difference, the quantum difference that's really needed? And I think, we as a council need to have a consistent message to elected representatives. When we get to this item later in the agenda, I think that our resolution tonight ought to specifically be revised to authorize the mayor to engage at a high level with other elected officials. It ought to be explicit. And but the message is we want action at the federal level where it can really make a difference. And we shouldn't be afraid of that. Yes, there is a little bit of dice rolling in that, but the alternative is continuation of the problem and the excuses and the, discussions about how much the spill was and that sort of thing. So that's my view, and that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I'm gonna just, Aaron Bartlow. You just name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Aaron Partlow, 1868 Catella Street, San Diego, California, 92154. I'm a resident of the Tijuana River Valley, former Imperial Beach resident. Congressman Bilbray really reflects our sentiments in the River Valley regarding this. Surfrider called me today and said the Mexican government said that the sewage spill stopped on February 5th. The Mexican government at the forum meeting in which Mr. Spriggs was facilitating denied the projection of 143 million gallons. We now know it is 80% larger. They lied about that. Where is the Clean Water Act coming into play with the Water Board? Why isn't the Water Board here on the Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act, Health and Safety Code? This is all that we've highlighted out of the River Valley Recovery Act, which is now null and void because of this sewage spill. There is no Recovery Act. Where are our elected officials? I've been saying it. There are so many of us been saying it from the very start. Where is our federal government? Where is Mr. Trump to weigh in on this? This is equivalent to a dirty bomb being dropped on a city. I could not even walk on the beach, breathe the air on February 29th, 2017. My eyes were watering. I came right to City Hall in Imperial Beach. I wrote a letter to Mayor Dedina, made the deputy sheriffs dispatch 2 deputies to me to talk to me about a terrorist act committed by the country of Mexico on the United States of America. We are aware of another flow of fluid coming across the border as we speak from Mexico. We don't know what it is, but we've indicated a flow in the pilot channel next to the Tijuana River that does not move unless there is movement of fluid from Mexico. We need to stop it, and we need to stop it now. And I totally agree with the former congressman. This is a United States of America problem. Mexico has demonstrated a reluctance to talk to President Trump. They have demonstrated an inability to tell the truth on this. Every time it comes time for Mexico to fund something, they devaluate their peso and they back out. We have the resources. We can do this on this side of the border. We can catch all the water coming across and reclaim it ourselves. Mexico has never sent us one drop of clean water down the channel. This cannot be clean water coming at us. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett. So are there questions, just so for protocol, are there any questions directed to Mr. Palmer?
What I was hoping for from you, Mr. Helmer, is the efforts that have been played out the last few weeks. Mayor, I'm hoping that you will take the time, I know you will, to educate the community on what's happening. It's important that we all know exactly what's happening, what the concentrated effort has been, will continue to be. I think it's time that Imperial Beach show not only the state of California, but the country that we are solution-oriented, not just happy writing letters. Although, ladies, thank you for your efforts. It's awesome. And that too portrays that we want results. So, Mr. Helmer, I would like to turn the floor over to you.
All right, well, staff has been incredibly busy. I guess it first started with the Tijuana River Recovery Team meeting. Before all this effort the sewage spill happened, there was work through the Tijuana River Recovery Team. That's kind of effort that got the initial IBWC Minute 320 passed, which is a framework minute to start the discussion of how do we address these water quality problems. The group, which consists of the agencies that are involved in the river, are outraged, but in my opinion, they need to be more outraged. They need to be as outraged as our citizens that we have here as well. That's one area where we've been working with the Water Board. Today, there was a regional water quality control board meeting. I talked to the board members of the Water Board, and they are dedicated to committing their time and their resources and their staff resources to addressing the sewage issue. Last week, the city manager, myself, and our city engineer went down to Tijuana, and we started that initial investigation that was promised by the IBWC. It's actually part of the Minute 320 Water Quality Work Group. City of Imperial Beach sits on that work group, and that is a work group that is conducting the investigation, or I guess it's mostly being conducted at the IBWC and Mexican levels, but the investigation is being filtered through this group. So we had our initial meeting. we're demanding to have another meeting, follow-up meeting for us to discuss the first draft of this report. There's nothing that's been drafted yet as of this time, but be assured that IB staff and the other members on the water quality work group will be looking and picking through the spill report very closely and very carefully and demanding to have more answers. It was very eye-opening how deficient the infrastructure is in Tijuana and how much work needs to be done in Mexico. But I think a lot of our efforts, especially immediate efforts like right now, targeting letters at the North American Development Bank to prioritize water quality and sewage treatment over increasing sewage flows by creating a new desal plant in Tijuana. That's immediate actions that we can do now and change the priorities and incentivize our partners south of the border to help prioritize wastewater infrastructure. I think we're on the right path. I think we need more of the help from the community. And like I said, I'm inspired by the amount of folks that are here today and willing to help and keep up this effort later in the summer when the water's 70 degrees and we're swimming and there's no water quality problems. We still need to keep this effort up.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Homer.
Yeah, actually, by Mr. Patton.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the real quick question, then later I have some comment when appropriate. Mr. Helmer, can you go and or just tell me about the testing that's happening right now? I'm hearing various conflicts of, some people say it's real, it's not real. Can you tell us who's doing the testing, how often, and what parts of the beach are open, what parts of the beach are not open yet?
There's two types of testings that are going on. There's beach water quality testing that's done by the County Department of Environmental Health. They monitor whether it's safe to swim or not. If the water is obviously polluted, they're not going to waste the money to go test water for it to tell you that it's polluted. They're just going to close the beach, and they do that by consulting with our lifeguards and honestly years of experience on the beach. The second testing is actually a requirement that's part of the International Boundary and Water Commission's permit with the regional board. So they do testing every Tuesday, I think around like midday every Tuesday, and they take samples a lot from Point Loma all the way down to almost Rosarito Beach on the beach. And they also take a sample from Dairy Mart Bridge whenever there's flow in the Tijuana River every Tuesday. This sample is more samples just gone between IBWC and the regional board, but IB staff is copied on these results. So we see the high levels of contamination that's in the Tijuana River. So when the Tijuana River is flowing and we get a result that says that there's a million count of E. coli bacteria in the river, we know that's raw sewage coming across. And it's not supposed to be more than a couple hundred to be normal. So we have an indication when they're dumping raw sewage, and IBWC takes these samples every Tuesday.
So that's good to know every Tuesday. So my thought is, in lieu of what's been happening right now, would it be possible to have our waters tested twice a week? I mean, I think everybody wants to know it's safe to go in our water, make sure we're healthy and also good for our kids.
When it's marginal and it looks like the water might be clean, then we can request the County Department of Environmental Health to come out here and take the test. But again, if the water is clean, if the water is dirty, the county is not going to want to waste the money to run the test, which I think they're a couple $100 just to run the samples and their staff time coming down here. But they do take weekly water quality tests when the beach is open, and we can make the request to them to test it, or at least to make visual observations more frequently.
And I know when it's clean, you tap into the lifeguards, and they kind of give their 2 cents on it as well. So I just think that when it is clean, that we really be on top of this and not let this ever slip by us again.
I'd like to add that I'd probably have a lot more confidence in our lifeguards of whether or not it's safe, whether it's clean, because taking a test is just a single point. And if you know from being a surfer and a lifeguard out on the water, the inshore currents are different than the offshore currents, and you get these plumes that show up and then just disappear all of a sudden. It could be very likely that you're just taking a sample and a plume just goes by and it's not there, but the plumes drifting by is not missed by our lifeguards. And if anyone has a question about the safety of their quality of water or question it, go to our lifeguards. I have more reliability in them than any one-time tests. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, just real quick. I get my notes here. I just really want to make it clear that Imperial Beach, this is a giant speed bump. However, it's not going to slow us down. Imperial Beach is better than ever. We have great restaurants, great schools, great people, great communities, families, great house prices, and people need to know that. I hear from residents, I hear from people in San Diego. This topic comes up about our water a lot, and it's a speed bump, a giant speed bump, but it's something it's making us stronger. And it's obvious by this letter writing campaign that's going on right now, which I admire. And I want to add my school to the list. I want the lesson plans. You know, kids are our future, and I think letter writing is paramount. You know, it's that grease to get this squeaky wheel moving, and thanks for doing that. I think that's awesome. And then, as well as Congressman Bilbray was spot on with his comments, and just to make it clear again, Imperial Beach is a great place to live, and this will pass, and we're going to make sure it's not going to happen again. Thank you.
West?
Yeah, just a couple questions. Mr. Elmer, how long does it take for the results to come back from the county DEH? 24 hours?
48.
48? So our sample results from Tuesday should be coming out on Thursday. I know that's too long. To tell you the truth, you should be writing letters to the EPA because the EPA kind of holds that process up. There are immediate results that they're testing samples that you can get immediate results for this on call, but they have to follow the protocol that's set up. And then one more question, Mr. Elmer, who on the is it the water quality group? Who's on the water quality group with the city that's doing the investigation?
On the water quality group, it's the regional board. Surfrider has a representative on there. There's the nonprofit group in Tijuana, Protecto Frontera, IB staff, and then IBWC. So that's that's it. It's a small group of us.
Okay, I'm just concerned that my concern with minute 320 has always been the teeth of it. It never had, it doesn't have that person that can hit them with a baseball bat that Congressman Bilbray is talking about. So that might be something to take back to IBWC for
A baseball bat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then yeah, I definitely I just want to echo the things that my fellow council members have said as well. And this is hitting us in the gut as well. I mean, it's obviously being the chair of Surfrider San Diego and then coming to be a council member and then having this happen on the first 2 months of my time in office is like I got hit with baseball. So, but I applaud the work that the mayor's been doing. Yeah.
Any other comments, or Mr. Spriggs? Just deference. Do you have any comments?
I'm really anxious to hear from you, Mayor. I know that you've been extremely busy. And Mr. Helmer, I did want to give you my thanks for your efforts along with our staff. I think that my council colleagues are onto something, perhaps with council members to go to these regional water quality control board meetings might be advantageous. And I just want to remind the community, we've been dealing with this as long as I've lived here, as long as Bill Bray's lived here, as long as Chris Brown's lived here. And it's you too, Cheryl. And it was considered to be an Imperial Beach problem, and it's not. This is a global problem. So when I have been out in the region and I'm listening to and talking with other council colleagues in the county, and their lead-off statement to me is, oh, boy, you guys have really got it bad down there this time. And then when I start to explain how big this problem is, we're talking 20 miles of coastline. We're talking economies on both sides of the border, devastated by this. And one of the real issues, and I'm sorry to say the ladies have left, I'm sure they want to go home to their children, but that is the problem. It is the children. And as a mother of a surfer, believe me, you know, when you said, Mr. Helmer, just ask a lifeguard, ask a surfer. You know, when our children, when our surfers have to go 20 and 30 miles up the coastline, can't even enjoy recreation right here in their own backyard, that's a sad day. And it's a sad day for 50 years. So again, I am hopeful that Imperial Beach is reaching a maturity stage and that, again, we are solution oriented and involving, like Bill Bray said, from people right here in Imperial Beach all the way to the President of the United States. This is a huge problem. Thank you.
Greg.
Thanks. I'm hoping that you and others involved on the technical side can preserve evidence of the last spill. There's probably a lot of, I don't know how we access satellite imagery of plume, but I've seen plume. The plume is the trail coming out of the river of polluted water. And it would seem to me that if we had, I don't know whether it's something we can access from prior satellite imagery, but we should use every resource to make sure that we capture from the beginning of this most recent spill until it's cleared up what the volume and magnitude of that plume from beginning to end, including its duration. And I think that that will be a part of the permanent record that needs to what we argue from to our federal government and our federal government. Mexico cannot deny, you know, the fact of what the quantity, magnitude, and of the spill was. The testing can maybe give us the concentration, but you know, the color gives us some clue at that. I'm just saying that from the standpoint of us making our case, it shouldn't be about what everybody remembers. It ought to be what the record says actually happened. And we need to do everything we can to make sure we have that information, even if it's we need the water board or other people's cooperation to preserve that data. What is that something that can be done?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I think the GOES satellite takes pictures every day and that's archived. So I think that's a great idea. I'll also make a comment. I know Surfrider is interviewing folks in Mexico and on the US side and in the River Valley and creating that document and actually demanding, because they sit on the water quality board that we sit on, demanding a separate meeting with Mexican agencies for us to actually go over the evidence that we're collecting right now. The initial meeting we had in Tijuana last week was Mexican authorities presenting their side of what happened, and where the water quality work was actually demanding to have a follow-up meeting where we can show the evidence on our side of what we observed. So good such, Justin.
Ms. Briggs, are you done?
I just wanted to piggyback on that, Mr. Sprigg. That's an excellent suggestion. And the data collection should also include input from our local businesses to see if there was a decrease in business during this time frame from our realtors. Was there a decrease in home sales? School district, if you can chime in as well. Were there any illnesses related to airborne issues? So this data collection can go across the board as well. And again, I think this is ammunition we need to put in our quiver. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. First, Mr. Partlow, thanks for being here. I know I see Mr. Tynan for being here. I'd like to encourage the members of Trivia in the River Valley and those of you guys who live in San Diego to really meet with Mayor Kevin Faulkner and Councilmember David Alvarez. The reality is, and this is important, this isn't an Imperial Beach problem. It is a regional problem. It's the County of San Diego problem. It's the City of San Diego problem. It's a Coronado problem. It's a U.S. military problem. It's a Border Patrol problem. it's everyone's problem. And frankly, beaches are polluted from the border all the way south to almost Rosarito Beach. So the good, and so I really want you guys to encourage. I met with the mayor at the beginning of the month when the spill was happening. He met with the mayor of Tijuana, but the mayor of Tijuana doesn't actually have any control over the sewer system. So we really need to get the mayor of San Diego a lot more engaged in this. We need to get county commissioner Greg Cox a lot more engaged in this. Everyone needs to be a lot more engaged. I want to thank the moms who are here for getting this going. The fact is, IB hasn't been engaged enough. We have not been engaged enough. It's been a few of us who've been engaged. Frankly, trivia has been a great asset in the River Valley. We all know that the minute we think things are fine, we need to do a lot more. Encouraging signs that I see are the San Diego Chamber of Commerce is engaged in this. Jerry Sanders has been very clear to me that they have no problem taking this on. I didn't meet with Mayor Faulkner. He said he was he was going to help on this as well. He called me. This is going on. Greg Cox did say the California Coastal Commission is taking action on this. The regional board has been very, very vocal on this. I met with the chief of staff of Juan Vargas. They're engaged on this. Senator Feinstein's engaged in this. And I agree with you, Mr. Bilbray, we do have to go to a higher level. We need to come up with an advocacy plan so we're actually a lot smarter about how we engage elected officials at all levels, in all parties, in all different areas. We're engaging the elected officials who actually represent us. So, and I'd love to work with Surfrider, for example. They have 50,000 members across the country. They need to target their members so they can reach out to elected officials who are involved in appropriating money for this issue. So it's a US and Mexico problem, but for the first time, the media is actually reaching Mexico City. So we had a guy named Paul Martinez, who's a businessman who lives in Coronado, said his mom called and said, actually it was another person, sorry, that she saw this on national TV in Mexico. That's a first, all right? So we're doing a lot more. We have to do a lot more, but the message is getting out. And believe me, no one's been pulling any punches on it at all. Congressman Bilbray, you're absolutely right. We've all been dismayed over the last 2 years that things have just gotten exceptionally worse. And we have been the ones asking what's going on. Why is this getting worse? I think I'm the first mayor or elected official in San Diego County history to actually do a press conference at a sewage river in Tijuana, which we did in the fall. We did a press conference, had all the media from Mexico there, Tijuana, Baja California, and national media in Mexico about the 40 million gallons discharged on the beach every day. That reached the governor. A day later, we met with the governor of Baja California. He committed to helping us solve this problem. And we met with the head of the sewage agency in Tijuana and the Mexico section director of the International Boundary and Water Commission. They committed to actually getting a plan going. We had pretty heavy, heated conversations with the head of the North American Development Bank and the head of the Border Environmental Cooperation Commission about their prioritizing desal over water quality improvements. And frankly, the consensus for all of us who work on this issue, who are out in the field and tracking these spills, is the fact that the Otay Water District and authorities have plans to build, I think it's a $1 billion, $500 million desal plant on Rosarito Beach and sell desal water to consumers in Chula Vista, meant that everyone was focused, that should be focusing on sewage infrastructure, was focused on getting the Otay Water District a permit to sell desal water from Mexico to Chula Vista. And that's the consensus for anybody on the ground who works on this issue, why this issue wasn't being paid attention to and why all these needed upgrades weren't happening. Frankly, after I was elected, I went to Washington and met with Senator Feinstein, thanked her for her past support. Her staff and her said, and she said, and I reported this to the council before, let us know what you need. What do we need to fix the problem? Because at that time we were talking about a bigger pump station and diverter pipe, better protocols, even after minute 320. The message back in Mexico and with the IBWC and the EPA was, don't worry your pretty little head, everything's fine. There is no problem. So we had to overcome that. And it was really the first time that we did that press release in the river and at Punta Banderas this fall was the first time there was an acknowledgement that there was a problem. Apparently Mexico's been fining, the Mexican National Water Agency has been fining the state of Baja California over the discharges at Punta Banderas. So after I had a fairly awkward and uncomfortable conversation, and Mr. Bilbray, you're the master of those, and I say that with all due respect. I only wish I had your capacity to have, I need to learn a lot more on how to have those conversations and get the system moving. I'm trying. But they made a commitment to prioritizing water quality over desal. And they made a commitment to working with the governor of Baja California to do that. Yesterday, I met with the managing director of the North American Development Bank and the managing director of the Border Environmental Cooperation Commission. They had just met with the governor of Baja and the minister of the environment of Mexico in Mexicali. They showed me the plan that Mexico has to fix the collector pipe and also to upgrade the sewage system. That's a specific, they're already making the request for funding in Mexico to do that. So we're moving, I've never seen that actually, their case for improving the sewer system move quicker. Obviously, there's a lot more to do, but frankly, the US EPA and the IBWC have absolutely failed us. The Minute 320 process is a failure. It doesn't work. We're moving way too slow. There's a lot of on-the-ground management we need to do on the US side of the border. And frankly, the city of San Diego and the county of San Diego are just doing almost nothing. And they're the agencies with the jurisdiction over the River Valley. We've been very, very unhappy with their leadership. In fact, when it came to managing gravel quarry, the only city of Imperial Beach actually offered to manage a gravel quarry in the River Valley that was the domain of 2 other jurisdictions because we were so tired of that blocking all the efforts to help manage the River Valley. Little things like river gauges are important. And we discovered, because Dick called me, we discovered that the river was flowing. And Mark and I went down there yesterday to see that it's been flowing. And actually the river gauge did show it's been flowing. We asked the IBWC to tell us why that hasn't happened yet. So there's no accountability anywhere. There's no transparency. We've got to engage a much broader base of folks. I was really encouraged by the fact that literally after Richard Bailey was elected mayor of Coronado, he signed on to a letter about this. The first time we've had the mayors of South County sign on to letters. That's a big deal. Chula Vista, National City, Coronado, and San Diego have signed on to 2 letters now asking for this to be fast tracked. But we've got to do a lot more. And frankly, I'm saying frankly too much. IB has to do a lot more to get this moving, but so does everyone else. And I think they're awaiting our leadership and helping come up with an advocacy strategy to make this work. I'll be in Mexico City in 2 weeks, meeting with high-level officials there in the Environment Agency, along with Kevin Faulkner and the mayor of Tijuana. So we're committed to working together. And the fact is, everything counts. Everything we're doing makes a difference. And those letters really do make a difference. And we need to now figure out how to get letters to other elected officials and make phone calls and get influential people. There are some of the most influential high-level businessmen who live in Coronado, who are from Mexico, who are talking to the National Water Agency in Mexico City about this because their kids surf in sewage in Coronado and in Baja. So it's a different team assembled now. I'm more encouraged by it. We've got a lot more to do. But the fact is, it's not just Mexico that caused this. It's the disinterest on the part of the federal agencies and elected officials who should be protecting us. Everyone's passed the buck. And it has been Imperial Beach. Chris Helmer's done a great job. This council's done a great job. Councilmember Spriggs and Mark and Councilmember West, thank you for your leadership on this issue, but we all have to do more, but we need to get something. So I'm going to end there. I just want to thank the moms. It's great, and this is why our democracy is so robust, is because, no, it is important. And it's important that we have regular citizens get engaged in the process, that have a new take on it, new energy, new enthusiasm. We've been doing this for a long time and we need to do a lot more, and we're going to keep pushing more, but there's a lot more to do, but we will win, and the beaches will be open, and we're going to have clean beaches. As I said to the media, we're not asking a guy to go to Mars and grow food. We're just asking to upgrade his food. So with that, we'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Helmer. Thank you to the council, and thank you everybody here. And Mr. Bilbray, thank you. It's always nice to have a distinguished member of Congress here. Oh yeah, well, we need a motion. Thanks.
Mayor, if I might, looking at our resolution, I'd like to, as I alluded to earlier, I'd like to add you, please, not only city manager, in terms of who the council is authorizing to act, so that you've got green light, full support. So one amendment I'd like to propose is in the resolution is in paragraph 3, where it says city manager is directed to continue working with local stakeholders. And I would add, or propose to add, where I put, and the mayor is authorized to continue reaching out to elected officials at the local, state, and national levels. And then it continues on, as it is in the document right now, to advance binational projects to improve conditions in the Tijuana River. I'm not sure that project is the right word there. It's probably effort, because we're looking at possibility of this being part of the policy dialogue with Mexico. It's not necessarily a project yet. It may be that this is going to be a $5 billion project at some point in time. Right now, though, I think we need you to be authorized, I've suggested, to engage at all these levels, as you have been doing. We just need to make it official.
Yes.
That's my motion for that addition to the resolution. Second.
Just one, his
I'll
motion
second it.
with the amended language.
Motion carried unanimously.
Mayor and council members, the county in 2004 passed amendment anyway, it passed an amendment to the Transnet program to I can't remember the word. Anyway, there's I think my brain has gone dead. Let me start over. In 2004, the county voters approved a change to the Transnet program to include a regional transportation congestion improvement plan to which included a exaction of a fee from private properties development from for single family homes at the rate of $2,000 per new family home built. And those funds that were created from that were to be used within the city or on a regional highway. And in our city, it's only Highway 75. If we fail to use those funds on Highway 75, then they are transferred to Sandag or Transnet for other regional programs. As part of that, we are required to have a project plan for how we plan to use those funds. Currently, and for the last 8 years, we have been, we've had a plan that was to use those funds on Highway 75 between this 7th Street and 9th Street, and pedestrian, bicycle, public transportation, and vehicle traffic calming in that area. And we're using those funds now for the project that's ongoing there at Triangle Park and Palm Avenue intersection for the interstate, or the interstate, the Highway 75. This plan before you tonight is suggesting, since those funds are now being used for this other area, and it complies with this section that you've approved for along 7th to 9th Street, that you transfer the next set of funds raised to the 10th Street intersection to improve pedestrian, bicycle, vehicle calming, and MTS
public transportation. A few years ago, you approved a plan to improve roadway and sidewalks, and in fact, you approved a design for putting the sidewalk on 10th Street and improving. And we've started a little bit of it. There was a section done there at the corner of Donick's and 10th. Cal-Am has been committed to improving the section where they moved to on Highway 75 and 10th. So I'm suggesting to you, if you'd like, to commit, at least for this next year, these funds that we collect to continue the improvements on that intersection. There's no reason, there's no, if you choose to keep what you have already now, we could possibly do more improvements there in some future time. The funds that are collected have to be spent within 8 years. We're spending most of the money you've collected in the last 8 years on Palm Avenue to Triangle Park. And I don't know whether my presentation is not very good right now, but I'm sorry. Anyway, this is a staff's proposal that you tell the regional Sendag that you want to commit these funds for this. And every year you get a chance to look at these. Next year, if situations change and you want to direct those funds toward a different project, that's something you can do. We need to report to Sendag, the Oversight Committee, by April 1st for what we propose to use these funds for. So I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Oh, let me make sure there's no public comment. Any public comment?
No speaker slips, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks very much, Mr. Levine. I think it's a great idea. We're already trying to create a better environment there on 10th Street. I was wondering, however, whether this would include, since I did understand the project to include pedestrian crosswalk, we're not talking about crossing Palm Avenue there, are we? Because that would require another signal, and there's already quite a few. Just want to clarify.
This would be crossing 10th Street.
Thanks for that clarification. I supported this.
I would like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-7780, approving RTCIP project plan, regional transportation congestion improvement program project on State Route 75. Please vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Great, thank you. We have item 4.2, public hearing on resolution number 2017-7781 on the City of Imperial Beach, adjusting a regional transportation RTCIP fee for fiscal year 2017-2018. I declare the public hearing open. Mr. Levine will give the report.
To follow on from the previous agenda item, also as part of the Transnet extension ordinance, there was a requirement to collect $2,000 per residential unit built from 2008 on. And in that ordinance, it was required that that $2,000 be adjusted annually by a construction index fee or construction index, and in no case less than 2%. So every year it had to go up at least 2%. Most of the years since 2008, the fee has gone up 2%. Except the last 2 years, I think it was up to slightly more than 2%. This year it is the index is at slightly under 2%, and so we're going to be recommending you go up for 2%, which would increase the fee from its current fee of $2,357 through to a new fee of $2,440. $4.14. This fee would go into effect on 1 July 2017.
Great. Any questions, Mr. Council? Thank you, Mr. Levine. Close the public hearing. I would like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-7781, adjusting an RTCIP fee for fiscal year 2017-2018.
So moved.
Thank you. Please vote. Thank you, Ms. Levine. Here for you one more time. Now we have reports, item 5.1, resolution number 2017-7784, awarding public work contract to WIT, Civic Center windows replacement, and appropriating $40,000 from the Facilities Maintenance Fund. Mr. Levine will give the report.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Motion carried unanimously.
Sorry, I'm always ahead of myself. Sorry. Trying to make it so efficient. But I didn't say frankly, so that's good.
Frankly, Mayor, I'm giving the next report.
Okay. Oh, you give me the report. Okay, good. Okay.
Mayor and Council, we just wanted to bring you up to date just a little bit. First, we're asking for passage of a resolution that would allow us to replace all of the windows in this facility, all of the windows in the community room facility, the windows in the sheriff building facility, and the windows in the fire facility. And we're doing that for a number of reasons. One, these are the original windows, I believe, that came with this building. Most of them are still single pane windows, believe it or not. And this building is somewhat energy inefficient. Not only that, it just, you've noticed a lot of the screens falling off and whatnot. It's time to replace the windows in this building. And first and foremost, it's going to make this building, I believe, more energy efficient. Right now, we're sitting in Imperial Beach, California. I believe it's probably about 65 degrees outside, and you guys can hear and feel the air conditioning. So there's a lot better use for our dollars than the amount of money we're spending to keep these buildings climate tested. So we certainly want to bring this building up to speed. And so this is just one step in some of the things we're trying to do this building. As you know, we put in the tile floors. We put in the display case out here, and it's really time, and we're just trying to do where we can and what we can afford to update this building and make sure that it's representative of the residents in this community and make sure that they know that we are keeping up this facility. So we're asking again for passage of resolution 2017-7784 that allows us to replace the windows. That contract would be for roughly $207,000. And then with the other things that go along with that contract, we're asking from the maintenance fund for a total expense of $240,000 to replace all in these facilities.
Just real quick, Mr. Levine, with new windows, in my experience, comes new window covering. For instance, these, if we want to update these with some plantation shutters, that would really make this building look nice. But that, I'm just saying, when we put in new windows, we usually have window coverings. So is that going to be in this part, or is that, or next?
We'll do that as we continue. We'll get the windows replaced, but then we'll make sure, I agree, most of the window coverings in the building need to be replaced.
Thank you.
Any questions? I want to thank you for working on this. I know taxpayers don't like to fund city hall improvements, but the reality is, I'd like to know, it'd be good to have maybe some monthly cost of energy and see if that maybe we save money. You know, I mean, I think it's important. I just like to throw it out there for the future that, you know, I think our firefighters and our sheriffs and our city staff and our community deserve better facilities. I'd love to have us think strategically with our community about rethinking this whole center so we've got a place where our firefighters are just more comfortable, where our sheriff can do better work, and it's not just trailers, and our city staff are in safe and healthy environment, as well as having a community room that is probably much more accessible to public. So we're in a growth phase, and I think we can start to think about what types of things we want to invest in. I'm really glad we did that with our library and our senior center, but I think it's time to start thinking about this. And I really think that'd be something that especially we have with the county, start identifying maybe there's possible funds for even that with our sheriff. I think this center's outgrown its lifespan, and I think the fact that we're changing the windows is a great idea. So just wanted to throw it out there, but thank you. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-7784, awarding public works contract to WIT, Civic Center windows replacement and appropriating $40,000 from the Facilities Maintenance Fund. Please vote. All right, now we have item, sorry. Frankly, I'm getting ahead of,
Frankly,
Motion carried unanimously.
all right. Item 2.2, ratification of warrant register. Mr. Briggs, you had questions, right? For city staff?
Yes, I did, Mr. Mayor, and I'll make this very, very quick. I'd already advised city staff to ask questions, so readily available. On page 1 of the warrant register, Mr. Bradley, there's a reference to Bikeway Village. 2 items. One of them is 218,787. The other one is 102,769. You know by now that whenever I see big numbers like it's 5 times, probably ask the question. It seemed to me that with things being so beautiful at Bikeway, it really looks remarkable. It'd be a good time to ask, are we pretty much at the end of our funding? Project completed? Where do we stand right now financially? On schedule.
Yeah, just financially, I'll give you a brief update. As you are aware, this was funded by a $1.8 million grant, as well as $1 million from the former redevelopment agency bond funds. So no city funds were used. That probably will be about our last check written because the project is complete. And I'll let the assistant city manager give you an update on the actual project itself.
So if you have been by there, the project is effectively complete. We're working on a couple of minor things relative to a maintenance agreement that we have to put together. There may be some minor elements on the outside that have to be tuned up, but for the most part, all the inspections, the sort of blue sheet that we put together, the checklist for that has been completed. So that we're just dialing in and getting some of the final billing together with the Sandag grant for that. There are actually TIs, tenant improvements, that have been pulled for 2 businesses in the East Building, one for a coffee company and the other one for a bike shop. So those will be forthcoming. Working with the developer on that, Rex Butler. That will likely he'll want to do a sort of a grand opening when there are some businesses that are actually within that structure. And just for everyone's edification, the West Building went through and did a modification for the use. As you may know, that was initially anticipated to be a hostel. The condition requiring that went to Coastal Commission a couple of weeks ago. That was removed for a structure, or for that structure to house a brewery, distillery, restaurant.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah. Are you another question?
I have no other questions. That was exactly what I was hoping to get away with.
Great.
And the other item, Mr. Mayor, if anyone else has questions about these, the other item on the financial report has to do on page 6, and that is the $614,000 payment to the city of San Diego. I assume that is our quarterly metro payment, and that I just wanted to confirm that. And I also wanted to point out that that amount is going to be, thanks to Chris Helmer having gotten me the most recent estimate, over the next several years, that amount is going to grow gradually until 2020, and then jump up significantly for the pure water program. That get your thoughts about whether we've got enough in our rate increase yet to handle smaller, also larger ones, but what the plan is there. Thank you.
I think that the issue of whether the rates are going to go up and whether it's already encompassed, that would be I think it's going to be on one of the next few agendas, but it's not appropriate to go into a whole discussion related to that aspect of it.
Okay, thank you. So regarding, can you confirm that this is for the JPA and that we are on budget for the next quarterly payment?
That is correct. Yes, this is for the Metro Sewer charge. This is our third payment, our third quarterly payment. And we're on budget for this fiscal year.
Thank you very much.
And I can further confirm, we will be coming to you with sewer rate information, probably, if not your next meeting, the one after.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you
we
very
get
much.
we done? Great. Can we get a motion to approve consent calendar item 2.2, the ratification of the warrant register?
So moved.
Please vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.